Thank you. With my colleagues, Maria Carmela and Francesca, I present an analysis about multilingual context because as a result of the changes which have taken place in the last decades, the presence of multilingual students has become a structural component of the Italian school system. And in this new educational way, several researchers have focused their attention on the academic performances of these students. And until now, the literature on the topic has analyzed the performances in Italian and math test, which showed that the students with a migratory background are characterized for achieved less satisfactory results if compared their Italian schoolmates. But now, thanks to the introduction of English test in the school year 2017-18, it's possible to examine also the performances in the foreign language and in particular in English. In an explanatory, and descriptive way, we have interested to investigate if multilingual families influence results of in English test. And with the term of multilingual, we intend the ability to speak, to use more than one language. In national and international literature, according to the literature, if compared with mono and bilingual students, multilingual ones are characterized to acquire other languages easier and quickly, because they are characterized by a greater flexibility in switching strategy or to modify new strategies and don't use unless and so they have also a better ear for listening and sharper memories. We have reached our aim, focus our attention on language spoken at home, and it's in an information recorded in students' questionnaire. And we have linked this information with results and the score in English, both listening and reading, and also in Italian and math test. We analyze grade 5 and 8. And we have used ANOVA test and logistic regression to analyze the results. Relatively to language, the question is which language do you usually speak in at home? And the students indicate their answers in a list of possible language, and the original database has cleaning up, considering only cases that have each information useful for our aim. scores in each for subject and gender, language spoken at home, area, geographic area, and ASCS indicator. And after this in operation, we have analyzed the data using ANOVA and logistic regression. In this slide regard grade 5, and we have presented for each subject the average scores, and with yellow we have highlighted the average scores for students that at home speak Italian, and with dark blue for reading and listening, the language that reach a score higher than Italian ones. And for Italian and maths test, we consider only language that are characterized in English for a higher scores if compared with Italian. And besides who speak English at home, we note that who speak German and Hindi reach better results in reading, and that for listening also students that speak Croatian, Portuguese and Romanian. Considering Italian and comparing it with Italian and math scores, we note that only Croatian only students that home speak Croatian are a higher scores in these subjects compared to, in this case, listening, while the other languages are characterized for a lower scores. And for grade 8, we have a similar trends, and except for Portuguese and Croatian languages. In fact, the score of students that speak Croatian in Italian maths are lower than listening. And with the aim to investigate the influence of other variables on achievement of English level, we have elaborated 3 regression models. In particular, for grade 5, we have used binomial regression because we have used the level reached in English. So for grade 5, there are only 2 levels, pre-A1 and A1, while for grade 8, there are 3 levels, pre-A1, A1 and A2. So for grade 8, we have used multinomial logistic regression, and the models are 3. In the first one, we consider only gender and ASCS. For the second, in the second model, we have included also geographical area, and then in the last model, we have considered language spoken at home. graphics showed we have reported the value of XPB parameters. This means that each value indicates a proportion between independent variable modalities and dependent one. If the value is minor to 1, and attraction if the value is greater than 1. In other terms, in this way we can observe the relative advantages or disadvantages of students with particular characteristics. Considering the first model for grade 5, we observe that female and high ESCS are modalities with a higher probability to reach A1 level compared to pre-A1 level, in particular for reading. Including geographic area into the model, we find that in South Italy there is a disadvantage to reach A1 level compared to Northwest Italy, that is the reference category, and this is true in particular for reading competencies. And in this slide, the white bar indicates that the values aren't statistically significant, and so including also language spoken at home into the model, as well as observed previously with ANOVA test, students that speak Croatian, Romanian and Hindi have a higher probability to obtain better performances in the listening. And moving on, grade 8, we note that the values of XPB for students with high ASCS increase, and there is a higher difference among the others modality of this variable. And for listening, the XPB values for high ASCS is almost 18. So these students are characterized to have a probability of more 18 times to reach level A2 in listening compared to who has a low ASCS. And including geographic area, in grade 8, case only for Northeast Italy, we have a positive probability to reach the highest level in reading, and this trend is observed also for listening. And in the next two slides, but reading and listening, we note that no language gives a positive contributor in English performances, and that ASCS is the variable with the highest contributor, especially in listening. This is listening, and so according to national and international literature on them, we have observed that the attraction among achievement highest level and female ASCS and North Italy. and especially in grade 8, the available resources play a fundamental role in achievement of English competencies. For example, maybe the families with a greater resource can guarantee possibility of a language training course or linguistic trips. And relatively to our time, results have showed that the language is important, especially in grade 5 and in listening competencies. And in particular for who speaks Croatian, Romanian, and Hindi at home. And among these, it's interesting the Hindi case, because in fact has noted the students that at home speak Hindi are characterized for the highest scores in English, but for the lowest scores in Italian and mathematics test. And in literature, this evidence is explaining by historical and cultural issues, and in particular recalling the English colonization in India. And in fact, English has used to modify to unify several Indian dialects, and also into literacy process. And also for Romanian, we have a similar characteristic. In fact, after the revolution in 1989, the English is used for becomes for a modernization process. And this explanatory and descriptive study and the relative results can be used to explore the reason about achievements of these students, but also to focus the attention on other type of analysis. For example, on linguistic affinity, it would be interesting to consider the linguistic groups, so study the difference between among Latin language and European language and the achievement. But it's interesting also to try to analyze the other socialization agency, and for example to study the achievement based also on language spoken with the peer group, and not only in